All right, Ross, welcome to the Lipstick Lounge. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Now, first up, you have the most amazing job, LA reporter, speaking to all the celebs and all the showbiz stars. Everybody wants to know, just what is it like?
It's absolute hell. It's probably the worst job in the world. And no, it's the best job in the world. And everyone always says that you have the best job in the world. And I do. I can't complain at all. I can't even say, no, it's really tough. It's really hard. It is. It's just the most wonderful job that I've ever had. And also, it is not hard. And people say, it must be tough. Not in the slightest. You think compared to nurses and doctors and teachers and people like that, it's the easiest job in the world. And it is pretty much as glamorous as it seems.
Now, I follow you on Twitter, as
All right.
thousands of others, and we're always reading about all these celebs that you're meeting, who you're hanging out with, who you're interviewing. We don't like to name drop, but we do sometimes.
Right, okay, clang.
Remind us of all these celebs that you've interviewed.
I've really been lucky, and it's funny that just a couple of weeks ago, if someone said to me, who have you interviewed or who have you not interviewed? And there's very few people now, and I'm so ridiculously lucky that I haven't interviewed. But Barbra Streisand was one that I'd never ever met, and I was really, really quite fearful because she does have a reputation of being a real diva. And I got there, and she was so nice, and she loved the Scottish accent. But the funniest thing is the minute, and it's just the most pathetic thing, but the minute I go in and I sit down and they go, all right, it's Barbara, oh, you're Scottish. And immediately you become much more Sean-like for no reason whatsoever. Suddenly you're like this, and it's incredible. So I don't know why I always lapse into that, but I do whenever the celebs ask me.
I mean, you've met some absolutely gorgeous people, these beautiful stars. Is there anybody that has jumped out that you've thought, wow, they really are breathtakingly gorgeous?
Halle Berry. It's always the first one that comes to mind. Really, really stunning. And when you sit down, it is quite breathtaking. And I actually saw her when I was flying over here at the airport. And and she was all getting ready for the flight. Looked every bit as stunning there. Just a real natural beauty. Angelina Jolie is every bit as striking in person as you imagine she will be. I wouldn't say she was classically beautiful. It's just an amazing, it's almost like the Ready Brek, she's got that little kind of glow round about her. And she really is so stunning and so striking. Julia Roberts, again, someone
She's
that
beautiful, her skin's gorgeous.
Just, again, somebody that you grew up, she was Pretty Woman, and that's what we'll always think of. And she still looks absolutely amazing. So, yeah, I mean, they look great. I mean, funnily enough, on the guy side of things, I was on a plane coming back from the Toronto Film Festival, and I was lucky enough to sit beside Pierce Brosnan, and he is every bit as handsome as everyone, and he's 60 now. And if I could have looked like you when I was 30, I'd have been really, really happy. And he is just, it looks the way that he should be. He is and always will be James Bond.
When you meet some of these stars, do you look at them and think, they must have some really great beauty secrets? Do any of them ever tell you anything like that, or is that hush-hush in LA?
Well, it's interesting that I said to a plastic surgeon in LA once, I said, I normally tell people that 95% of the stars that you see on the TV or in movies have had work done. And he said, you're so way off the mark. You should never say that. And I said, oh, how many should I say? He said, 99.8% of stars have work done. And that's the bottom line. They do, they all have. And it's really funny. I find that, especially, if I come back here or if I'm in London, and people say, I don't know why so-and-so had that work done, because you can always tell. And I always say, you're so wrong. It's just the bad ones that you can tell. In LA now, the big thing they always say is have a little done, but have it done often. That's the way that they treat people now. A little, but often.
That's the very next thing I was going to ask you. All the health fads and beauty fads in LA, we hear about them all the time. Anything happening just now, or any crazy things that you've heard about lately?
I mean, there's always the crazy diets. And it's an interesting one that, it was Hugh Jackman that told me this one, where, and this is, people really shouldn't do this, but if they're going to do a big photo shoot, or you're going to go on a red carpet, they don't take fluids for 36 hours. 36 hours beforehand, and that gives you that kind of cut look. And you shouldn't do it. It's very unhealthy.
Yes, don't do that.
Don't try this one at home. But that's what a lot of them do, because it gives them that look, and that came from a bodybuilder. So it's interesting where they get all the little tips from. But that's what people do, and especially when they're red carpet ready. That's why you have people and it's quite funny, you don't always see it, but so many people faint on red carpets, and it's just that simple thing that they just haven't eaten and they haven't had enough liquids. But it's just all to have that slightly emaciated look.
Have you met any celebs that they've come in and you've thought, oh my God, I had no idea they'd be so high maintenance? Do you get that often?
Well, you do. I mean, you see people like Mariah Carey has the biggest entourage in the world. But then somebody like Barbra Streisand, who I thought would be high maintenance, not at all. And in fact, funny enough, I said to Barbra Streisand, she does look, Barbra Streisand always had that look which, as we all know, was very sort of, I don't want to say ugly beautiful, but, it's a sort of strange, yeah, like Sarah Jessica Parker. Sometimes you go, wow, she's really lovely, and sometimes you go, maybe she's not quite so lovely. At times, it's a strange look, but still, when they look beautiful, they look stunning. But Barbra Streisand, she puts her looks down to good genes. So believe that if you want to. But the bottom line, as I said, is that in LA, all these stars all have had something done. That's it. It's that simple.
Now, when we look at you in the morning, on Daybreak, and you're telling us all the showbiz gossip, you look fresh as a daisy. You do. You really do.
You need to take the dark glasses off.
It's 1 a.m. LA time, isn't it?
It is.
How do you do that? I mean, do you have a strict beauty regime?
I do. I mean, I'm very open about it. I'm very into, every 2-3 weeks, I have a silk peel and an Oxyjet, which is called, where they kind of like, there's this little pump thing that goes and puts oxygen into your skin, and it's a silk peel that I have as well. Funnily enough, it comes back to Glasgow. When I was here, when I was about 14, 15, and Gary Healy, who cuts my hair here, his dad, Robert Healy, was very into bioaesthetics, and he came to me one day when I was 14, 15 and said, son, I'm going to give you this and put it on your skin every day, and years later you'll thank me. He's 82 now, and I actually saw him today, and I thanked him once again because he got me into skin toners at age 14 and 15, without giving away all the secrets. But the studio that we do the Daybreak stuff in and the Lorraine stuff is just this tiny little studio with just one camera. So there's not a lot of people around, there's no makeup. So I have to do my own makeup, and I'm lucky that I don't do too much. But the best thing that I ever discovered from a guy point of view, touche éclat. The best thing, touche éclat, exactly. And so for me with, getting older and having a lot more lines, but touche éclat was just the best thing that I ever discovered, or someone discovered it for me. So all those things, I just, take care. But funnily enough, my mum, her regime was always just cold water. Always put cold water on my face. So I always think of that as well first thing in the morning.
Tighten the pores.
Tighten the pores, exactly.
LA man versus, say, a UK woman when it comes to the beauty stage.
Yeah.
Who looks after themselves better?
I think it's a very close run thing. Whenever you go to any place in LA and you see the guys. And the interesting thing is that guys that you think are quite handsome on TV or in film, when you meet them in person, generally speaking, they're even more handsome, and you realize that sometimes guys, the camera doesn't love them as much as you think it should do. But when you see that they all really, really take care of themselves, there's very few that don't. And I think that eventually, if you take somebody like, say, Mickey Rourke, who was an incredibly handsome man and has kind of chased it a bit, and there's been a lot of work, and he's very open about it, a little too much. But having said that, I interviewed Robert Redford last year. He looked
handsome, yeah.
Exactly, and he looks great. I think he's had a little bit of work done as well, but he looks great, and that's the incredible thing that I think, going back to that whole LA thing in terms of the movie stars and the TV stars, if they get a little done quite often, then they can go on, and no one sees that huge difference. I mean, I know a huge star in LA who had her facelift, her first full facelift. She was 40. 40. Full facelift at 40. Now, she is now 63, but looks amazing. And everyone just says, how does she look so good? And it was only because her best friend said she had her first facelift when she was 40. So that's a big musical theatre star as well. There we are. I'm not singing.
That's as much as we're going to get.
Before I get sued, yes.
Ross, thank you so much for speaking to
Thank you so
much. It's been a pleasure.
Lovely to be on the Lipstick Lounge.